Hello, I'm back. I'm not sure who was expecting the comeback. Not me. Kind of, maybe. I don't know. I did make some business goals for this year. And within those business goals, I'll tell you what they are in just a second. I do want to post more content to YouTube. So, I am back. I promise that part of this video is going to be talking about yarn and crocheting. But part of it is just going to be me yapping. Buckle in. I'm going to have a new schedule. I'm going to try to be posting about every 2 weeks. I'm probably going to post something midway through the month. I already messed up for this month. And probably something at the end of the month, just to kind of do like a wrap up. Hopefully that'll work out. I did write business goals for 2026, which I've never done. I didn't really write personal goals for this year either. So we will see how these go. For my first business goal, I really want to book at least 6 markets. 6 markets is, I can do one every other month. I would really like to do more in the future, but I feel like that was kind of a good goal to give myself for this year, because I do have a market coming up at the end of February, and the reason that it's okay that I did it and every 2 months is it's at the very end of February, and it's a Pokemon market, Pokemon themed. I had one thing for that market. So I had a project that I was working on the last 2 weeks that I will talk about in just a moment, that I really tried to put all my time and effort into. But now that that's over and I'm pretty much done with it, I can put all my effort into the Pokemon market. So my second goal is to have at least 1,000 Instagram followers. This is mostly because I post a lot of promo stuff for myself. When I finish a big project, I try to post it on there. I'm really bad about posting on Instagram, and I really need to get better about it if I really want my business to grow. So I really need to do that. This one's kind of iffy because I don't know what my future on TikTok is. I'm really kind of iffy about how it's looking at the moment with the new purchase of it and the algorithm, and I have a really hard time getting views on there, so I might try to start posting onto Instagram Reels, which will help those followers. I may just up that follower count, but I did put that I wanted to get at least 2,000 TikTok followers, so that one's kind of tentative. We'll see where TikTok lands. My next goal is to post 2 YouTube videos a month. I've already screwed up this month, but I really didn't have much to talk about leading up to now. So we'll call this one a wash. I am in the midst of looking for a job, so I might check in about that a little bit. I have a couple of applications out there. I'm being a little picky about where I work because of where my mental health is and where a lot of things are. I'm technically kind of working for DoorDash right now, but I don't like it. I don't like to drive that often. It kind of burns me out really quickly. Adding in to say that after I recorded this, I ended up having to drive, so we'll just call it 50 miles. I ended up having to drive from where I live now back to my hometown, which is 50 miles, right? So that's about, because of where my hometown is, about an hour and a half there, about an hour back because it was after traffic, right? So that was the next day after recording this. So that's 100 miles. And then the next day, driving back to hometown, driving back home. And then yesterday when I went out with my wife and my friends, I ended up being the one to drive. So I ended up driving a lot, and I am a burnt piece of toast today. So yes, this statement was proven true the following day. And then my last goal is to settle on a proper website. And this one's kind of a loose goal. I'm not sure whether I want to settle on Etsy. And I would really like to settle on Etsy. I've also been looking at Ravelry. And I love Shopify for what it is. But right now I can't afford the $40 a month that they try to charge. And I've used quite a few of the promos where they like only charge you. But I did see a creator talking about how it's hard to get started on Shopify because like you're not bringing in a base. I saw a creator on TikTok talking about how she posts her actual products on Etsy and like her patterns on Ravelry because Etsy's kind of made for consumers who are like trying to buy finished products, and Ravelry's more so for like people who are crocheting and like they're looking for patterns. So I may just end up doing that. I may just, coming up with 2 websites. Those are my 6 business goals. Another thing that I would really like to talk about, the project that I've been working on I actually started this, if you go back on my TikTok, when did I post that on my TikTok? I started posting on my TikTok about it last month, so over a month ago. I'm going to the Iron Lung premiere tomorrow night, the 29th. I really wanted to create something to wear to the premiere. I have gone through 3 iterations of cardigans, and I'm gonna show the first one. I don't have the second one to show because I frogged it, and then I'll show you what I finally create. So this was the first iteration of it. It was supposed to be like the back was supposed to be like a Grafgan, but as you can see from this, I finally realized that this was too big to be the back of a cardigan. This was also the first Grafgan that I've ever worked on, and I have now learned that because there's so much color blocking in this and like the colors carry so much, I probably could have used a double crochet instead of a half double crochet and been done with this so much sooner. So yeah, you can see that it says lung. It says lung because the top was going to say iron, and it was going to be a cardigan, but you see how this wouldn't have worked as a cardigan. I do plan on finishing this. I will probably just make it wall art for myself. This was the first iteration. I'm a little upset that I kind of didn't. I mean, it was the first Grafgan that I've ever started. I didn't plan properly. I kind of like started doing research in the middle of working on it and realized that it wasn't going to be right. So it just kind of becomes a personal decor whip. But what I ended up settling on is I realized that I just really wanted the words Iron Lung on the cardigan. I was like, okay, well, I don't want to go through the hassle of trying to map out the letters on Stitch Fiddle and, create myself a block to put in the back of a cardigan. So I was like, okay, what if I just make a hexacardigan with the back panels being letter like squares. So I'll put the creator up here. I did buy somebody's pattern off of Etsy. They have like all 26 letters. So that was pretty cool. I was really glad. And I realized that like I could use that pattern for, anything. I can make all kinds of stuff with that. This is what I settled on. It is a hexacardigan that says Iron Lung on the back. And of course, blood red. I really went ahead, like, at first I was just going to do like Iron Lung with like this color red. But then I was like, no, like, it's going to look like it says IR or ILURON. So then I was like, all right, well, I'll just go ahead and do it in 2 different colors. The one thing that I didn't think about was how big the panels were going to be on the back. So it does kind of sit on my shoulders. But I've thought about adding maybe a button or 2, but then it feels like it looks too old if I add a button or 2, so I'm not sure if I'm actually going to do that. It is supposed to be, I live in Florida, so it's supposed to be chilly tomorrow night, like the low is like in the 30s, so I'm probably going to freeze, but yeah, I'm going to wear this with like a cute little skirt and maybe some boots. I'll show the outfit before I leave, but yeah. So this is what I came up with. It is not as extravagant as I wanted. So the second iteration of it was just going to be it was going to be like a plain black back with the words worked into it. But then as I was working on it, I realized that the words were going to be really little in the middle of it with like just a lot of black in it. And that's not what I was going for. So this isn't really entirely what I was going for either, but I knew that I could whip up a hexa cardigan pretty quickly, because I've made quite a few. So that's kind of what I am very excited to see this movie. I know that I'm just one person, and I know that, don't know if I've talked about this before, but I do suffer with agoraphobia. I have a very hard time leaving the house. Sometimes I have a hard time. Sometimes, like, if my anxiety gets too bad, I have a hard time, like, leaving my bed. It's all about feeling safe and safety and those types of things. But on Thanksgiving, we decided to go to the movies. I hadn't been to the movies in years, and I brought a project to work on, and it was great. I've also learned that I have really bad audio sensitivity. I just get really overstimulated with really loud noises, and that's probably why I have a hard time at the movies. But leaving the house to go to the movies is a big thing for me right now because I am coming off of a really bad bout of this agoraphobia. I'm glad that I'm doing better. Like, we just went to our hometown this past weekend to go see a friend who I haven't seen in, pretty much 10 years. So, like, that's nice. Like, I feel like I'm actually starting to show up for people again. That makes me happy. But going to this movie feels so silly because I have been leaving the house more and I have been doing things. But when this movie got announced that it was coming out, I was like, I don't care how I'm feeling, I'm going to go see it. It was kind of like one of those, like, I am going to push myself out of my comfort zone and I am going to go see this movie. And that's mostly because I'm inspired by Mark, because that's kind of on a much bigger scale what he did. He knew that there was an issue with Hollywood and that, that they don't really like YouTubers getting into their, movie making sphere and, this, that, and the other, but he did it anyways. And, he's showing up for his crew and, he's showing up for his fans. And you know what? If he can do that, I can show up for myself. And I know that sounds like a really big leap, but, if anyone watching this has struggled with mental health, like, you know that sometimes you have to make big leaps in your logic to sometimes make things make sense. I am very excited to see this movie. I will probably finish off this video with a review. I am going to be showing my outfit tomorrow, like right before I leave, and then I'll probably record a little bit before once I get back. I'll gush about the movie, about how amazing it was, because we all know it's going to be. But yeah, so this movie really, really kind of set up a a first goalpost for me of like, all right, after this, it's like sit and stay inside and work on your cardigan. But, you're going to get up, you're going to make a whole event out of this. I bought a ticket for, me and my wife are going, and then I also bought a ticket for my best friend for Christmas/birthday, and then my friend that's in from out of town is going to try to make it if he can, if work's not too busy. So it's really becoming like we're going to go out to eat, which restaurants are a big trigger for me too. I know that sounds crazy, but yeah, I'm back. You used to watch my content as regularly as I guess you could, because I didn't post very much. Leave me a comment of like some of the stuff that you'd like to see. Obviously, I can make crochet content. I had a gaming video that I recorded. I recorded like 2 hours worth of content, And then I was editing it and realized that I hate editing, but I'm gonna get over that. Hi. So it's February 1st. I know that I said that I was going to be seeing Iron Lung on January 29th, but some family stuff came up. We ended up seeing it last night. I didn't take any video of my outfit, but I do have a picture standing next to the Iron Lung poster. I was so pleased with the movie, and I know that this is mostly about the cardigan, but the movie was fantastic. I know that a lot of people talked about how it was very slow paced and, you know, this, that, and the other, but for someone who hadn't watched or played the game was slow paced, and I think that Mark definitely brought a lot of additional details to it that I think made the lore worth watching. I went with my wife and 2 friends, and one of the friends had watched the gameplay and the other one hadn't, and my wife also hadn't. So they were both a little confused, but I found a video. I forgot who it was. I'll put their tag here if I can remember to look for it, where they explained some of the backstory for like someone who was confused, and my wife was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But yeah, it was a really good experience. I had a really good time. It was very cold last night. This was actually right before I went to bed, about 4:30 in the morning. It was pretty cold last night. We pretty much ran from the theater to the car, to the restaurant, to the car. We'll just call January a wash with my videos. I will just get started this month. We won't count this video. I do want to do a check-in before my market, and then I kind of want to do a video about my market at the very end of the month. I'm sorry that the end of the video and the cardigan and outfit reveal wasn't all that fantastic, but yeah, I will check in with you guys in about 2 weeks, and I shall see y'all later. Bye, babes.